Hey YouTube, there we are again. I have some great news for you. Yesterday Elon told us that FSD is coming in Europe and it will be very soon. Let's hear about this later. First we'll look back and see what happened on our channel. The previous episode, number 9, was explaining you the importance of FSD with a video from Tony Seba, the futurist. The one before, episode 8, was about an important EU meeting in Ghent that I was able to join. And I made a report about it, and I promised you 5 weeks ago then to make an interview with one of the organizers of that event. And that's the innovation advisor of the Flemish Ministry of Transportation. Actually, we are already working on this, but we have to wait until he's back from his holiday in the United States. Since my video about this meeting, a lot of things happened, and I will start with the most important one. Yesterday's live Q2 quarterly earnings call meeting was a very interesting event. Elon Musk dropped some very new information gems that I would like to explain you. First of all, he said there are several big OEMs, so car manufacturers, expressing interest to license Tesla's FSD technology. And that's what Elon Musk announced, that this was going to happen. The second gem that he dropped is that FSD, like it is going now, will quickly reach the better than human level, and he expects this to happen by the end of this year. Of course, Elon has been very optimistic several times already in his forecast, but when we see what happens with FSD version 12, we could be very quickly there. Third gem that he dropped yesterday is that there will be almost no regulatory barriers in the USA to roll out Level 5 autonomy all over the country in the United States. So FSD, not supervised, but FSD full version, that means Level 5, no driver required anymore, should be there also very soon. The fourth and the last FSD related gem that he dropped is that, most important for us, FSD supervised may be introduced in the European Union by the end of this year. As a first subject for today, I'd like to come back to a planned event, which was planned in the month of May, in the framework of the UNECE working group, the GRVA. It was an informal meeting where the members of that group were invited to the United States in Troy, in the center of the old American OEM car manufacturers near Detroit. And I would like to make a short presentation of what happened there, what was the schedule, who was there, who presented, and it was not at all what I expected, actually. So here is the document of that informal meeting, and seeing the very short duration of that meeting, and it's an informal meeting. And when you look at the next document that I will open here, how many companies are involved, and Tesla is just one of the very small logos in that document. Let's look here. Okay, that's describing the process of the meeting. And here you see all the logos, and Tesla is just one small logo. I don't think that there has been time to really do a decent test or demonstration of FSD supervised version 12. The main sponsors obviously were General Motors and Mobileye and Volkswagen, and I don't think it has been the meeting that we expected. Another thing which is very interesting for the working group GRVA is that they started a complete project on automated driving systems now with a schedule. You will see it on one of the next pages here. Here it is. You will see the red dot on the right. It ends in November 2026. And the first 2 meetings will be in Beijing, China. Then a second subject is very important, is how FSD supervised in the United States has been ramping up very quickly between the different versions, 12.3 to 12.4, and recently, just a few days ago, version 12.5 was released to part of the public. So I would like to show you a few videos from the YouTubers you probably already know now. Very interesting.
What's up, everybody? We are here with the latest update on Tesla full self-driving. This is 12.3.6. This update, I think, is better than ever, more human-like than ever. I just had my first drive. So let's do another drive together and test it out. Take me to the Palace of Fine Arts. All right, let's see. I actually want to go here. So did you say where you want to go? It'll take you there. We're in San Francisco. It's a pretty hilly street. So this is kind of challenging to see if there are cars coming. It's creeping out. And there we go. Looks like we're all clear. Really smooth. All right, stopping at the yellow there. Nice stop there. Not lingering too long. Making a right turn. We've got a lot of cars here. I think they're trying to park maybe. So smooth. Wow. Just feels incredible to ride it. Okay, we got to make a right turn. Oh. Someone decided to sort of make a U-turn at the last minute. It kind of looked like they were turning left, but then they just jumped and made a U-turn, and the car reacted and stopped in time, which is good. "12 has very fast reflexes compared to previous versions of FSD like 11 and 10 and 9. I think because all of the planning and control happens in the neural net, you don't have the round trip between the neural net accelerator and the CPU and the GPU. Hey everybody, happy Sunday. Crazy day today. I'm here with my dad on Tesla full self-driving 12.4.3. And we got a few places we need to visit today. So we're gonna go for a drive and see how FSD performs. First, we're headed to West LA. So let's go. Off to a nice start there. Very smooth how it pulled out, went around the car. Nice, I like that. Really smooth around the corners there. Are you seeing that?
Yes. Very nice. You know, how to navigate through different hurdles. So
Right.
I think they're on the right path for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem like they've gotten anywhere close to where this paradigm can take them. I'm sure new breakthroughs will be needed in the future, but they haven't even started to use the compute power of hardware 4 yet. They haven't started to train hardware 4 specific models. Their next generation model is going to have 5 times greater parameter count. And they're bringing up 50,000 GPUs, more than doubling what they have now at Texas right now. So all those things I think are going to continue to yield a lot of improvements. And honestly, it's freakishly good right now. I think you mentioned FSD 12 as sort of a ChatGPT moment, but I think there's another big moment happening here, which is the NAG going away. And the NAG was just so confusing to people, and new users didn't get it. It created such a bad experience. But now with this, you've truly got an experience where it's dead simple. You sit in the seat, you turn it on, you look at the road, and that's it. Anyone can understand how to do it. And I think that's going to result in a lot more people using the product.
Next, that moment where the companies now started to cut the umbilical cord
Right.
between the artificial intelligence and the other tools that we still have. So first they'll let the NAG go, then they'll let go your needing to keep an attention on the road, and then they'll let go the accelerator. I think they'll just increase the gap in terms of lack of attention. So right now the camera is very strict. Like
Right.
even if I take my eyes off of like the road for like
2
1
seconds.
second or
Yeah.
2 seconds it beeps. So they'll increase that with time,
Right.
and then eventually, you'll see. But to be honest with you, I've been on Waymo and Cruise, in past, and I've seen them drive. And I've seen them drive in situations, all kinds of situations. But if Tesla were to put a car like that in a mapped area, very small geofence, right? They would have done that 3 years ago with their older software when they had the, 300,000 lines of code.
Right.
So I think their strategy of saying, wait until this gets so good that we don't have to have geofences and maps and everything else.
Right.
And we're not just handling roads, we're handling parking spots, we're handling summon, all kinds of things. Is their 1-2 punch to the rest of the world where all of them are knocked out, right? They're not going to be able to compete because they'll have to start from scratch to come to this level. There's no way I could see Waymo or anybody else park the car the way this one does, or navigate through a parking structure. I once did it in a parking structure, came down like 3 levels, found the exit,
Wow.
and that's not going to happen on Waymo. That's they're not even working on that. So this is where you would truly have a car take you where you want to go and deal with all the challenges that the real world presents, not just the ones that you are aware of, also the ones that you're not even aware of.
Yeah, I really don't think people appreciate how unique Tesla's technology is. They think, oh, okay, there's other self-driving cars. There's even other cars without a driver. So it must be much more advanced. But what we haven't seen is something. what we haven't seen is something that can just look at the world and drive.
Correct.
And it works in Europe, it works in China, it works in the United States. There's no other self-driving system that works anywhere in the world like that.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of iPhone and BlackBerry time, when there was a little bit of overlap between the two technologies.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be pundits that would make a case for BlackBerry, how is this, does this better, it has this, it has encryption.
Right.
And I used to tell them, I said, come on, guys, it's not even the same class of competition, right? BlackBerry would have to throw everything away to be iPhone
And then to illustrate how good version 12.5 FSD supervised already is today, I will let you enjoy a fragment of Omar's video showing how his car is driving with version 12.5 installed. And on the background, you will hear parts of the earnings call of yesterday. Okay, thanks Omar for sharing this video. I hope you don't mind I use a little piece of it.
Look, I don't care if you believe me or not, but let me tell you what I'm experiencing in my Tesla with FSD 12.5. Here are my stats for the last 2 days of driving. I got FSD 12.5 yesterday. 102 miles driven, almost entirely on FSD. Today I drove 19 miles, all entirely on FSD. In all my drives today, no interventions, no takeovers. In all of my drives yesterday, no takeovers, all pretty much perfect, zero intervention drives. And not only were they zero intervention, they were smooth, they were comfortable, they were human-like. This software can do your drives. Not next year, not in 2 years, today. And I think a lot of people's understanding is a little bit delayed. They're looking at FSD 12.3 and thinking that's the latest Tesla has to offer, when in reality, FSD 12.5 is way ahead in pretty much every metric you can think of. So I've got a little video here. It's my drives from today with Tesla's earnings call in the background. So go ahead, if you haven't listened to Tesla's earnings call, or if you want to listen to it again, give it another listen while you watch what I've been seeing with FSD 12.5, where it's just doing drive after drive perfectly without any intervention. And realize that most investors that probably got into Tesla for the EV theme, they don't understand this. They can't wrap their heads around it. They can't grok it. And people are significantly underestimating how good the software is today. Not how good it's going to get, but how good it is today. Anyway, here's the video.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Tesla's second quarter 2024 Q&A webcast. My name is Travis Axelrod, Head of Investor Relations, and I'm joined today by Elon Musk, Vaibhav Taneja, and a number of other executives. Our Q2 results were announced at about 3 p.m. Central Time in the update deck we published at the same link as this webcast. During this call, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These comments are based on our predictions and expectations as of today. Actual events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. During the question and answer portion of today's call,
that trend exceeds humans for sure next year. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Our third question is, the Cybertruck is an iconic product that wows everyone.
Term, and then do you think that auto revenue will fall below 50% of your
licensing agreement with another automaker? When do you think you would disclose that? Would you do it right when you sign the agreement, or only after that multiple years has passed and the vehicle is ready to be rolled out?
I think it depends on So there's capability. I think in our experience, once we demonstrate that something is safe enough or significantly safer than human, we find that regulators are supportive of deployment of that capability. It's difficult to argue with if you've got a large number of, if you've got billions of miles that show that in the future unsupervised FSD is safer than human. What regulator could really stand in the way of that? They're morally obligated to approve. So I don't think regulatory approval will be a limiting factor. I should also say that the self-driving capabilities that are deployed outside of North America are far behind that in North America. So with version 12.5 and maybe it's 12.6, but pretty soon we will ask for regulatory approval of the Tesla supervised FSD in Europe, China, and other countries. And I think we're likely to receive that before the end of the year.
Thank you.
Which will be a helpful demand driver in those regions, obviously.
Thank you.
Just
go ahead, Lars.
Travis.
And then the next main subject of this video, that's the reason I made it before the video of the interview. Yesterday's live Q2 earnings call, Elon Musk dropped the following four information gems. One, several big OEMs expressed interest to license Tesla's FSD. Second, FSD will reach the better than human level by the end of 2024, this year. And three, there will be no regulatory barriers in the USA to roll out level 5 autonomy cars in the whole of the United States, countrywide. The last one, FSD supervised, and that's most important for us, may be already introduced in Europe and China and the rest of the world by the end of this year. Let's watch this first announcement of the FSD 12.5 introduction and how Elon expects that this will evolve and how the situation is at this moment. On the channel of Rob Maurer, who did a very nice follow-up of the meeting yesterday. Thanks, Rob. So here is this fragment.
Regarding full self-driving and Robotaxi, we've made a lot of progress with full self-driving in Q2, and with version 12.5 beginning rollout, we think customers will experience a step change improvement in how well supervised full self-driving works. Version 12.5 has 5 times the parameters of 12.4 and will finally merge the highway and city stacks. So the highway stack is still, at this point, is pretty old. So often the issues people encounter are on the highway, but with 12.5, we finally merged the 2 stacks. I still find that most people actually don't know how good the system is. And I would encourage anyone to understand the system better to simply try it out and let the car drive you around. One of the things we're going to be doing just to make sure people actually understand the capabilities of the car is when delivering a new car and when picking up a car for service, to just show people how to use it and just drive them around the block. Once people use it at all, they tend to continue using it. So it's very compelling. And and this, I think, will be a massive demand driver. Even unsupervised full self-driving will be a massive demand driver. And as we increase the miles between intervention, it will transition from supervised full self-driving to unsupervised full self-driving, and we can unlock massive potential in the fleet. We postponed the sort of Robotaxi, or the sort of product unveil by a couple months, where it's shifted to 10/10, so the 10th of October. And this is because I wanted to make some important changes that I think would improve the vehicle, the sort of the Robotaxi, the main thing that we're going to show, and we're also going to show off a couple of other things. So moving it back a few months allowed us to improve the Robotaxi, as well as add in a couple other things for the product unveil. We're also nearing completion of the south expansion of Giga Texas, which will house our largest training cluster to date. This will be an incremental 50,000 H100s plus 20,000 of our hardware 4 or AI5 Tesla AI computer. With Optimus, Optimus is already performing tasks in our factory, and we expect to have Optimus production version 1 in limited production starting early next year. This will be for Tesla consumption. It's just better for us to iron out the issues ourselves. But we expect to have several thousand Optimus robots produced and doing useful things by the end of next year in the Tesla factories. And then in 2026, ramping up production quite a bit. And at that point, we'll be providing Optimus robots to outside customers. That'll be production version 2 of Optimus. For the energy business, this is growing faster than anything else. We're really demand constrained rather than production constrained. So we're ramping up production in our US factory, as well as building the Megapack factory in China that should roughly double our output. Maybe more than double our output, maybe triple potentially. So in conclusion, we're super excited about the progress across the board. We're changing the energy system, how people move around, how people approach the economy. The undertaking is massive, but I think the future is incredibly bright. I really just can't emphasize just the importance of autonomy for the vehicle side and for Optimus. Although the numbers sound crazy, I think Tesla producing app volume with unsupervised FSD, essentially enabling the fleet to operate like a giant autonomous fleet, and it takes the valuation, I think, to some pretty crazy number. ARK Invest thinks on the order of $5 trillion. I think they're probably not wrong. And long-term Optimus, I think, achieves a valuation several times that number. I want to thank the Tesla team for strong execution and looking forward to exciting years ahead.
Great. Thank you very much.
The second news that Elon dropped yesterday, which I find very interesting, is the fact that FSD attracts already some OEM manufacturers who are interested to take a license of the Tesla's FSD system. That will not be an easy task for them, but they get the chance to join the autonomy world.
Perfect. Thanks. Wanted to ask a question on FSD licensing. You mentioned that in passing previously. Was Just wondering if you can elaborate maybe on the mechanics of how that would work. I guess presumably this would not be some sort of simple plug-and-play proposition. Presumably an OEM would need, I don't know, several years to develop its own vehicle platform that's based on FSD. I imagine they would need to adopt Tesla's electrical architecture, compute, sensor stack. So correct me if I'm sort of misunderstanding this, but if you had a cooperative agreement of some kind with another OEM, then presumably it would take you several years before you'd be able to recognize licensing revenue from that agreement. Is that the right way to think about that?
Yes. The OEMs do not move fast. There's not really a sensor suite. It's just cameras. But they would have to integrate our AI computer and have cameras with a 360-degree view. At least the gateway, like what talks to the internet and communicates with the Tesla system, with that you need kind of a gateway computer too. So it's really a gateway computer with cellular and Wi-Fi connectivity, the Tesla AI computer, and 7 cameras, or enough cameras to get a 360-degree view. But this will, given the speed at which the auto industry moves, it would be several years before you would see this in volume.
Okay, good. That's more or less what I expected. So then the follow-up here is, if you did sign an FSD licensing agreement with another automaker, when do you think you would disclose that? Would you do it right when you sign the agreement, or only after that multiple years has passed and the vehicle is ready to be rolled out?
I think it depends on the OEM. I guess we'd be happy either way.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of arrangement we enter into. A lot of those things we've not ironed those out yet. So we'll make that determination as and when we get to that point.
And the kind of deals that are obviously relevant are only if some OEM is willing to do this in 1 million cars a year or something significant. It's not if it's like 10,000 or 100,000 cars a year. We could just make that ourselves.
All right, thank you. The next question comes from Dan Levi from...
And then the third and the last fragment of yesterday's earnings call is a fragment where Elon Musk explained the expectation that he has around regulations in the United States, the barriers that many people are saying will come when they want to introduce level 5 autonomy. Elon Musk completely denies that there will be many problems, and you will hear his explanation. In the middle of that presentation, also, he will say that even Europe and China and other countries in the world are on their radar starting from this year. Incredible.
As a follow-up, I wanted to ask about the Robotaxi strategy, and specifically the shareholder deck here notes that the release is going to be, one of the gating factors is regulatory approval. So maybe you could help us understand, which regulations specifically are the ones that we should be looking for. Is it FMVSS that's standard? And then, to what extent does the strategy shift you've done with FSD more of a nationwide, no boundary approach? Is the Robotaxi approach one that's more geofence, so to speak, and is more driven by a state-by-state approach?
I mean, our solution is a generalized solution, unlike what everybody else has. If you see it like Waymo and whatnot, they have a very localized solution that requires high density mapping. It's quite fragile. So, their ability to expand rapidly is limited. Our solution is a general solution that works anywhere. It would even work on a different Earth. So if you rendered a new Earth, it would work on a new Earth. So there's capability. I think in our experience, once we demonstrate that something is safe enough or significantly safer than human, we find that regulators are supportive of deployment of that capability. It's difficult to argue with if you've got a large number of, if you've got billions of miles that show that in the future unsupervised FSD is safer than human. What regulator could really stand in the way of that? They're morally obligated to approve. So I don't think regulatory approval will be a limiting factor. I should also say that the self-driving capabilities of this, that are deployed outside of North America are far behind that in North America. So with version 12.5 and maybe 12.6, but pretty soon we will ask for regulatory approval of the Tesla supervised FSD in Europe, China, and other countries.
Hey, wait, stop. Elon just said FSD will come to Europe. And this year? That cannot be true. Let's watch it again.
With version 12.5 and maybe 12.6, but pretty soon we will ask for regulatory approval of the Tesla supervised FSD in Europe, China, and other countries. And I think we're likely to receive that before the end of the year.
Thank you.
Which will be a helpful demand driver in those regions, obviously.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, Travis, in terms of as Elon said, in terms of regulatory approval, the vehicles are governed by FMVSS in the US, which is NHTSA, which is the same across all 50 states. The road rules are the same across all 50 states. So creating a generalized solution gives us the best opportunity to deploy in all 50 states reasonably. Of course, there are state and even local municipal level regulations that may apply to, being a transportation company or deploying taxis. But, as far as getting the vehicle on the road, that's all federal, and that's very much in line with what Elon was just suggesting about the data and the vehicle itself.
And to add to the technology point, the end-to-end network basically makes no assumption about the location. You could add data from different countries and it would just perform equally well there. There's almost close to zero US specific code in there. It's all just the data that comes from the US.
Yeah, to that end, Ashok, it's we can go as humans to other countries and drive with some reasonable amount of assessment in those countries. And that's how you design the FSD software.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, thanks, guys. The next question comes from George from Canaccord. George, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking my questions. Maybe just to expand on the regulatory question for a second, and I could be comparing apples and oranges, but GM canceled their pedalless, wheelless vehicle. And according to the company this morning, their decision was driven by uncertainty about the regulatory environment. And from what we understand, and again, maybe I'm wrong here, but the Robotaxi that has been shown, at least in the images of the public, is also pedalless and wheelless. Is there a different regulatory concern just if you deploy a vehicle like that doesn't have pedals or a wheel, and may that be different from just regular FSD on a traditional Tesla vehicle? Thank you.
Well, obviously, the real reason that they canceled it is because GM can't make it work, not because of regulators. They're blaming regulators. That's misleading of them to do so, because Waymo is doing just fine in those markets. So it's just that their technology is not up to par.
Right. And maybe just as a follow-up, I think you mentioned that FSD take rates were up materially after you reduced the price. Is there any way you can help us quantify what that means exactly? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we've shared we've seen a meaningful increase I don't want to get into specific because we started from a low base, but we are seeing encouraging results. And the key thing here is, like Elon said, you need to experience it because words can't describe it till the time we actually use it. And that's why we are trying to make sure that every time a car is getting delivered, people are being showed how this thing is working, because when you see it working, you realize how great it is. I mean, just to give you one example, so again, there's a biased example, but I have a more than 20-mile commute into the factory almost every day. I have 0 interventions on the latest stack, and the car just literally drives me over. And especially with the latest version, wherein we're also tracking your eye movement, the steering wheel nag is almost not there, as long as you're not wearing sunglasses.
Well, we're fixing the sunglasses thing. It's coming soon. So you will be able to drive. You'll be able to have sunglasses on and have the car drive.
Yeah.
But there's a fair number of times I've talked with smart people who like live in New York or maybe downtown Boston and don't ever drive, and then are asking me about FSD. And I'm like, you can just get a car and try it. If you're not doing that, you have no idea what's going on.
Thank you. The next question comes from Pierre from New Street. Pierre, please unmute yourself.
Hey guys, thank you for taking my question. So it's on Robotaxi again, and I completely get it that with a universal solution, we will get like regulatory approval. We'll get there eventually, clicking up miles and compute, etc. And my question is more how you think about deployments, because I'm thinking once you have a car that can drive everywhere, that can replace me. It can replace a taxi, but then to do the ride-hailing service, you need a certain scale. And that means a lot of cars on the road, and so you need an infrastructure to just maintain the cars, take care of them, etc. And so my question is, are you already working on that? Do you have already an idea of what like your plan to deploy looks like? And is that like a Tesla only plan, or are you looking at partners, local partners, global partners to do that? And I'll have a quick follow-up.
Yeah, this would just be the Tesla network. You just literally open the Tesla app and summon a car, and we send a car to pick you up and take you somewhere. We'll have a fleet that's, I don't know, on the order of 7 million that are capable of autonomy soon. In the years to come, it'll be over 10 million, then over 20 million. This is an immense scale. And the car is able to operate 24/7, unlike the human driver. So the capability to, like, there's this basically instant scale with a software update. And now this is for a customer-owned fleet. So you can think of that as being a bit like Airbnb. Like, you can choose to allow your car to be used by the fleet, or cancel that and bring it back. It can be used by the fleet all the time. It can be used by the fleet some of the time, and then Tesla would share in the revenue with the customer. But you can think of the giant fleet of Tesla vehicles as like a giant sort of Airbnb equivalent fleet, Airbnb on wheels. Then in addition, we would make some number of cars for Tesla that would just be owned by Tesla and be added to the fleet. I guess that would be a bit more like Uber. But this would all be the Tesla network. And there's an important clause we've put in every Tesla purchase, which is that the Tesla vehicles can only be used in the Tesla fleet. They cannot be used by a third party for autonomy.
Okay. And do you think that scales like progressively, so you can start in a city with just a handful of cars, and you you grow the number of cars over time, or do you think there is like a critical mass you need to get to be able to offer like a service that is of competitive quality compared to what like Uber would be typically delivering already?
I guess maybe I'm not conveying this correctly. The entire Tesla fleet basically becomes.
So I hope you enjoyed my presentation of today. And if you did, subscribe to the channel and you will hear more about it very soon. Bye.